talk about the New Orleans Saints 2025 draft and are they tanking for Arch Manning in 2026? What's up, kinfolk? It's RJ Young. I am not on a step mill. If this is your first time watching the #1 college football show, welcome. Thank you for joining us here. We talk football year round, so if that is something you're into, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, like this video, and answer the question in the comments below. Do you think that Arch Manning should be the #1 overall pick in the 2026 draft? And do you think the New Orleans Saints should tank to go get him? We're going to talk a little bit about Arch Manning toward the end of the show. We're going to talk about Arch Manning throughout the show, frankly. But I wanted to get started by giving flowers to some of these guys that were drafted by the Saints. I like some better than others. It's not my favorite draft class. We'll get to why that is. But I do like a lot of the pieces that they were able to procure in this rookie class. At the top of the list for me, I want to start with a positive. Oklahoma linebacker Danny Stutzman, the heart and soul of the Sooner defense, really the program the last 3 years. It's a two-time All-American, consensus All-American in 2024, and a linebacker who ran 4.52 at 6'4", 230 plus. Absolutely a great inside linebacker, the kind of guy that you can build your entire defense around. He's going to understand everybody's position, get them into the right scheme, get them into the right fit, and understand what the defensive coordinator wants to go on, not just from his position, but conceptually for the defense. We're also talking about one of Brent Venables' favorite players, which is not, that's high praise. Brent Venables created Isaiah Simmons, the 2018 defensive line. It goes on, and he has created a bunch of great defensive players. But for Danny Stutzman to be near the top, you got to know, and he's a fan favorite for a number of reasons. He's fun, he is funny, and he's also been doing a really great job of giving back to the community in Norman. I'm sure he's going to do the same down in New Orleans. Another guy that, played Big 12 football, like Danny Stutzman before Oklahoma moved to the SEC, that I really love is Devin Neal, running back out of Kansas. He left Kansas as the all-time leading rusher, which is saying something. Gale Sayers went to Kansas, for instance. But he also has had 3 straight seasons of 1,000 rushing yards or more, and he went for 207 to break the back of Colorado and really punch them out of the Big 12 championship on what Devin Neal was able to do. Lance Leipold is one of my favorite coaches in the sport, college football, and he really wanted to see Devin Neal do well and believes that he is going to be a pillar of the Lawrence community for years to come. He would be the mayor if it was up to Lance Leipold, a guy that could have left Lawrence, who could have played anywhere else, who decided to stay with Lance and try to build Kansas Jayhawks football into not just something that was reputable, but was capable of winning a championship. And I think they're going to get closer and closer to that. One of my favorite hires to come out of what many people thought was left field was Travis Goff going to get Lance Leipold, and it's continued to pay dividends for them. Devin Neal is the latest example of that. Another guy that I really liked that they were able to go get was Vernon Broughton. I realized that the numbers aren't exactly there, but Vernon is 6'5", 311 pounds. And when he came out of high school, the dude looked like an NFL player to me. And then they made him bigger, and then they made him stronger, and he was able to keep his speed on a dominant defensive line at Texas the last couple of years. And 2024 was his most productive year at Texas, and I think his best football is still very, very much ahead of him. Can't wait to see what kind of a player he turns into on that defensive line for the New Orleans Saints. Another guy that I really, really enjoyed watching play college football, and that's how I'm going to enter into this NFL conversation, talk about what these guys did at the college level, is a Texas player named Kelvin Banks Jr. If you don't know who Kelvin Banks Jr. is, it's because you're just getting new to what Texas football was able to do. But this guy came to Texas and started as a true freshman at left tackle. Could not get him off the field. That is rare in the sport of college football. It's a really difficult position to play, and it's certainly a really difficult position to put a freshman in. And they were able to do that, and he held his own. 4 sacks allowed in 42 games. The only player that I saw beat him, and beat him regularly, is Jalen Walker at Georgia, who I think is the best linebacker in the 2024 class, given what he meant to Georgia football, given how he was the guy that was saying, okay, you told me that Kelvin Banks Jr. is the best. I'm going to spin him around about 8 times, and I'm going to get to the quarterback. And he was able to do that. I also enjoyed that he was a first-round pick at offensive tackle. It's not something I'm used to seeing out of Texas. They were able to produce a guy that they recruited, 3 years later is a first-round pick. Steve Sarkisian doing remarkable things at Texas, not the least of which is giving me the red ass because I'm an Oklahoma fan, and it wasn't fun last year. It ain't been fun 2 of the last 3 years, we being honest about it. Like, Dylan Gabriel gave us that one win, but since then, Oklahoma has been trying to play catch-up, which is something we're not used to at Oklahoma. 2 losing seasons in the last 26 years, but 2 of the last 3 years have been those losing seasons. It's not that much fun right now as Oklahoma's trying to find a way to compete in a vaunted SEC, an SEC that gets better and better each and every year, where you're just going to have to find a way to compete, which leads me to the Tyler Shough part of this, right? Spend a little time here. Tyler Shough, as a second-round pick, is going to be what the New Orleans Saints draft is about in 2025. Whether or not he is your long-term answer or not, he's going to be the guy that we're going to connect a lot of dots to in as far as how he can play and what you expect from him. And there are quite a few things that I don't like about drafting Tyler Shough. None of them have to do with the person he is. Great dude, and frankly, a great team guy. And that might be one of the reasons that you take the dude. So let me walk this out. You got a 25-year-old rookie quarterback. Okay, that's strike one. You have a rookie quarterback who has had 3 significant injuries in 7 years. Broke the same collarbone twice and had an ankle injury that forced him to miss quite a few games. Tibia. He broke his left fibula, not his tibia. This shin, right, on his left side. Left side of his body is taking a pounding, which says a lot because that is the part of his body that is leading on the throwing motion, right? People were getting to him. I mentioned 7 years of college football at 3 different universities, and he's really had just one great year of production. And that came last year at Louisville when he threw for over 3,100 yards with 23 TDs to just 6 INTs. But it's also a Jeff Brom scheme, which is built around throwing the football and throwing the football all over the yard if you got it like that. Got a good win against Clemson. Was in a shootout with Miami. Again, he's just 25 years old, and to go get him in the second round, I'm not so sure about that. But perhaps you think that's something you needed to do. You need to get yourself a rookie quarterback with a little bit of maturity to him because you don't know what you have or don't have if Derek Carr comes back or doesn't. But this also is where it kind of gets more interesting because now we're into the spot where we get to talk about what Arch Manning may or may not do. Folks at Texas would have you understand it's not a guarantee by any stretch that Arch Manning will declare for the 2026 NFL draft, perhaps because he wants to exhaust his eligibility. He's a dude that is cut from an old-fashioned college football guy. He wants to play college football. He likes playing college football. He always wanted to play at Texas, so he's playing at Texas. He waited behind Quinn Ewers, and now it is his job, right? And nobody in Texas has any other ideas in mind. Arch Manning is what they're doing come Ohio State August 31st. And there's lots of good reasons to believe that Arch Manning is going to be great. He is the first player in FBS or the NFL in the last 25 years to have a 75-yard touchdown, a 65-yard passing touchdown, 65-yard rushing touchdown, and another 50-yard touchdown in the same game. So he got into the sport last year making really big explosive plays, and you got to see the wheels against UTSA where he goes 9 of 12 for 223 yards through the air and 5 total TDs. Okay, it was UTSA. What did you do against, SEC competition? Well, the only game he really got to start in was Mississippi State when Quinn Ewers was out due to injury. And he went 26-31 for 325 with 2 TDs in that game. He's everything you think he is. He's 6'4", he's 225. He's got a rocket arm. He sees the field well. He moves extremely well. And Steve Sarkisian has done a great job of building offenses around quarterbacks in the run game that are going to make them better. And I'm here to tell you, Texas could be better this year offensively than it was last year. Not just because Arch Manning is going to be your starting quarterback, but because you get guys back like Cedric Baxter and Ryan Wingo, who was a freshman last year, is now a sophomore. Yes, they lost Matthew Golden, but they were able to replace Xavier Worthy with Matthew Golden. Now they're going to get to do it again with a guy like Ryan Wingo and DeAndre Moore, among others. Like they got dudes. They've been really able to not just recruit at a high level, which is something Texas has been able to do for a long time, but develop at a high level since Steve Sarkisian has gotten there. I think now we're asking, what do the Saints do here? Because the Saints haven't taken a quarterback in the first round since 1971 when they did it with Archie Manning, who is, yes, Arch Manning's grandfather and father to Peyton and Eli. Arch has also been a product of Archie Manning. Archie Manning has looked over the recruiting process and probably look over the agent process and the NFL process for Arch since jump. Remember, this is the same Archie Manning that engineered Eli's not playing for San Diego. Find another way. Get us the hell out of here. We're not doing this. When they were still the San Diego Chargers. They end up with Phillip Rivers. It works. Eli goes to the Giants. It works. Wins Super Bowl. Okay. Could that be in the offing again? Would he want them? Why do you want Arch to play for the Saints? Do we think the Saints are the kind of organization that would be open to what the Mannings would want from them? I mean, not for nothing, but this is a family that is from New Orleans. They're from New Orleans. They went to Isidore Newman, and Arch ends up going to Texas. Well, Archie went to Ole Miss, right? And Eli went to Ole Miss, and Peyton went to Tennessee. But what would they do to get themselves a Manning playing quarterback in the city that really gave us that family as a first football family? I don't think that there would be stops to pull out, except one. Doug Nussmeier is the offensive coordinator for the New Orleans Saints. His son Garrett is the starting quarterback for the LSU Tigers. And he is the most prolific returning SEC quarterback in 2025. He has every opportunity to be a first-round NFL draft pick himself. I don't think that Doug is going to do the thing where he just goes and gets his kid because it ain't his decision to make alone. But I can see that factoring in. I got to talk with Garrett Nussmeier right here on the show, one of my favorite interviews. You can go find it in the archives. But he is every bit the guy that you think he is. He is bleeding purple and gold. He loves to play quarterback at LSU. And he's had to watch Joe Burrow. He's had to watch Jade Daniels win the Heisman Trophy. And he would love to do nothing less and win a national championship. Could that be enough for the Saints to go get him? If he were able to, say, win the Heisman Trophy, win a national championship at LSU, would that be enough to overcome whatever Arch might bring to the table? I don't know. It's a very interesting discussion to have. But as we get closer and closer to the season, we're going to find out who can play and who cannot. And I think that we're really going to be talking about what Tyler Shough is or isn't doing, let alone what Derek Carr is or isn't doing, and how this is going for Kellen Moore. But while this is an underwhelming pick for me and Tyler Shough, I understand it, right? You're going to have a guy that can probably hold a clipboard in 2026 or maybe starts a couple of games so he can hand it off and becomes your locker room guy. Again, affable quarterbacks, they can make a lot of money. Ask Chase Daniels about team finesse over there, right? Tyrod Taylor, right? We could do that too. You keep going down the line. There's room for the glue guy holding the clipboard. And I think Tyler Shough could fit that. But also, you're taking him in the second round, which means you expect something could happen. Perhaps you found a Jalen Hurts. We'll find out sooner rather than later. But if you like me going through these NFL draft classes, please let me know that in the comments below. Say, hey, RJ, I like it. Please hit X team. Whatever your team is, I'll try to see if I can get to them. If I got something nice to say, we're going to do it. But right now, man, it feels real good to be talking about these players getting their opportunities to be real professionals and not just NIL professionals.